12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Thursday, the 24th of July, 2025. It is program number 1413 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you also can get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com, and we're also streaming live on our Facebook page. And you just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. Please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family. Of course, in a while, you'll be able to call in to tell us what's on your plate. The number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And don't forget, you can also reach us via WhatsApp. You can message in to 724-0008. Again, you can call in as well to our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. I look back in time on this day in history. In the year 1567, on July the 24th, Mary Queen of Scots was forced to abdicate to her one-year-old son, who eventually became King James VI of Scotland. In the year 1911, American explorer Hiram Bingham discovered Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas. And 1943, on this day, Operation Gomorrah saw the Royal Air Force beginning its bombardment of Hamburg, and that created a firestorm that led to the death of 42,600 people in Germany. In the year 2019, on this day, global warming was the fastest in 2,000 years, and scientific consensus was that humans are the cause. Was at 99% likelihood, according to three major reports published in the journals Nature and Nature Geoscience. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Jugozi Lanes, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here today at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Now, a little while ago, there was in fact a ceremony happening at the Finance Administrative Center at which the government of St. Lucia effectively facilitated the funding of a financing to the water and sewage company Wasco from the CARICOM Development Fund. And you recall that the CARICOM Development Fund is an institution that was set up as part of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, recognizing the disparity, the tiers between the more developed countries and the lesser developed countries of CARICOM. Of course, CARICOM being a 15-member country, but with even that said, very, very different countries in terms of the scale and population and complexity of these economies within those countries. Jamaica, the likes of Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, I believe, as well as Guyana, as well. Yeah, they're seen as the more developed countries within CARICOM, and the lesser developed countries primarily in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And so we have been a beneficiary of the CARICOM Development Fund, the CDF. It is in fact headed by a St. Lucian, Mr. Ronald Suma, based over in Barbados. And they have been able to assist the island in a number of different areas in tourism development, and they have also been supporting work in the water sector. There was in fact an existing loan facility provided by the CDF to be able to work on improving the water system, the Passius water supply system, which serves about 10 communities in the constituencies of primarily Micoud North, but also, I believe, Micoud South. And so, of course, that was an ongoing project being funded by the CDF. And today, the headline project being financed by the CARICOM Development Fund is, in fact, the upgrade of the Thibbles water treatment plant. Of course, we want to know that the water we drink is potable, it is safe, it can be drunk by individuals if coming out of the tap. And of course, that requires appropriate levels of water treatment, the filtration, the ensuring that the chlorination of the water. That's a process, of course, that is very much necessary to be able to ensure that the safety of our water. And the vast majority of the water that is supplied to the north of the island is, in fact, treated at the Thibbles treatment plant at Cicero. And the other major water treatment facility serving the north of the island being what exists at Hill 20, which largely serves the Babonneau area. Now, that facility was built back in 1993 in the lead up to the upgrade of that entire system, including the Roseau Dam, which was eventually commissioned back in 1996, and it was part of this program to bring water to the north, of course, which is that northwest corridor being the area that has the most urbanization, the most economic activity, and of course highest demand for water. And when it was built back then, it was meant to supply somewhere in the region of about 10 to 11 million gallons of water per day in terms of being able to treat that amount of water. Now, of course, that is dependent on the flow coming into it from the dam, and of course, how effective or efficient the facility itself is. And since then, the treatment plant has deteriorated, it has aged, and according to what we were told today by WASCO, that in fact it is operating at about 40% efficiency. And as many as 6 out of the 10 filters that are present at the Thibbles treatment plant have been malfunctioning. And so it therefore means that as a result of that, you've seen greater pressure being put on the remaining filters, as well as reliance on other means of treatment and backwashing. And that has effectively meant that the overall capacity, the output of that facility is being challenged, even though we know since 1993 when it was designed, we have in fact probably surpassed the design capacity, which is already under pressure. So, not a very good situation that Wasco obviously finds itself, and an institution that remains very much cash strapped. Of course, it would be a challenge for them to be able to undertake such works on their own. And so this is where the CARICOM Development Fund has come in to be able to provide both grant as well as loan financing to the water and sewage company. And I think in total, they are providing about $7 million across the two projects that they are funding. One existing, as I mentioned, the Passias water supply project in the Miku area, but now about $5 million US dollars being provided to Wasco, nearly about 14 million EC dollars for the purpose of upgrading the system that is there. Of course, replacement of the filters, but also to look at other aspects in terms of improving on water security. So it is certainly a very, very important step in the right direction. And it's good that, of course, we are seeing this investment, a very, very timely investment, if we are, in fact, to be able to improve on the entire supply chain to bring water from where it is collected, from the watershed to our taps. And of course, we've heard so much over the past couple of years, an emphasis being placed on the matter of the desilting of the John Compton Dam. Very famously, of course, we've heard of the challenges with respect to that. The project which went over budget, but yet still seemed to have underperformed in terms of the deliverables. Still lots of question marks regarding that undertaking. But that's still one aspect of it. That is really dealing with simply ensuring that the dam has capacity to be able to store what it was originally intended to store, about 700 to 750 million gallons of water. That does not ensure that the water gets to your home. And that, of course, is where another major intervention being currently funded through, again, this one through the Caribbean Development Bank, to, in fact, upgrade over 5 kilometers of pipeline that takes the water from the John Compton Dam up in the heights of the Roseau River Valley, down to Vanna, up to, I think, Sarot, and then across up to the treatment plant. So that raw water line is, in fact, going to be replaced. And we've seen for so many years now the challenges of Wasco having to pretty much shut down the entire system because it simply has to be fixing leak after leak after leak on this highly corroded water pipeline, which of course was also laid down nearly 30 years ago. And so the need, of course, to replace that is yet another aspect in that entire delivery of water. So the pipeline, as well as the upgrade of the water treatment plant, certainly are very timely. Also, Wasco indicated that they are also in negotiations trying to get funding for the replacement of some additional line on their main trunk line, distribution line that heads from Bonte north to Grosley, and that too is to be replaced. And so, of course, they're looking at improving that aspect of the network. Of course, as you can well imagine, once you're speaking about a lot of that infrastructure, we are talking in the tens of millions of dollars for many of these projects. And, of course, it has to be funded, has to come from some financing source. And invariably, the government has to step in to be able to secure this financing and ensure that it is in fact made available to what is, of course, no doubt a very, very critical aspect of our national development, that is the water network, the water supply. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to solve all the problems of Wasco? Certainly not. And we've seen that there's a need for a considerable amount of capital investment into the water sector that is needed to ensure that we can see a better and as well a system that can deliver on water that is growing in demand, because we're seeing, of course, growing pressure. Hotels are coming forward. We're seeing more homes being built. We're seeing an expanded population, an expanded visitor population. We're seeing demands, of course, as was mentioned by a caller sometime last week, the demands even for water for cruise vessels. So there is a growing demand for water. And this is all occurring at the same time when we are also seeing variability in the reliance of rainfall, right? And in as much as, of course, we're in the tropics and we have tropical rainforest, and we certainly have taken this for granted, we're seeing the changes in weather patterns. You're getting a lot of intense rainfall, which in itself is a challenge in terms of turbidity, in terms, especially the systems that we have existing around the island, the legacy systems especially. And so, and of course, we're seeing the propensity for greater drought as well. So it certainly is a challenge to be able to ensure that we can continue to meet that growing demand for water supply. We've quite often heard people speaking of the idea of desalination. Oh, we're surrounded by the waters of the sea, and so this should be an option that we should be looking at, and perhaps to some degree. But the reality is, desalination is, as a source, one of the most expensive sources of water that can be found, and it really, in my opinion, it should be perhaps for emergency situations, purely emergency situations, but even so, you still have a significant amount of money that has to go into actually setting up the facility. So it's a high capital cost, and it's a high operating cost venture once you're speaking about desalination. And some hotels have in fact taken on desalination as a backup, and we've seen that. But in some instances, even when they have desal systems, they've found challenges in running those systems, and so they still end up having that reliance, right? That backup is still the water utility, which has to be able to meet that demand. And so you're not getting away from it completely in that regard. So the need to be able to ensure that we have water storage, as well as not just raw water storage, but also storage of potable water, is another aspect that has to be brought forward into the mix. There are, of course, requirements that are being placed of developers, of large subdivisions in particular, to in fact ensure that they have water storage within their subdivisions. But that said, there's still a very large number of individuals who are out there already who don't have adequate water storage. And so having that bulk water storage is also an important aspect of providing greater resilience for the service, particularly, of course, in the north of the island. And let's also hope that we can see the matter of rainwater harvesting also taking on a greater degree of interest in terms of new developments, because it would be ideally if you can source the water on the property. It doesn't have to be doesn't have to go miles and miles and miles away. It doesn't have to be pumped from a far distance. That certainly can help if, in fact, your non-essential uses, whether it might be flushing of toilets, whether it might be watering your lawn and washing your car, and those non-life essential water uses, if those can in fact be done using rainwater instead, even if it has to be somewhat treated, it's certainly a much better proposition. But of course, it requires adequate storage on the property and, of course, the right plumbing to put it all together. So it is something that for very large investments moving forward, something that maybe we should also be requiring of them to ensure that they, in fact, are doing so. So hotels, for example, that should be a must. That should be a no-brainer. That they should be able to offset a lot of their water use by actual collection on the property from their roofs and other areas, collection areas that could potentially be created, so that they can in fact have some on-site water capabilities as well. So we still are a little ways away from becoming a truly water secure country, but certainly this step with respect to the upgrade of the Thibbles treatment plant is, I would say, long overdue. It's been something that should have been happening before, but of course, getting the finances is always a challenge, especially when a company is faced with very tight cash flow constraints. Getting the financing is, of course, a major challenge. And so very, very welcome news that the Thibbles treatment plant is going to be upgraded. And I think it is an 18-month project. So, as again, these things do take time. You've got to go through the whole process of public procurement and tendering and ensuring that everything gets on island for installation and all of that. So certainly a significant project, one of a couple significant projects being undertaken by the Water and Sewage Company. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll take in our weather report and we'll come back to hear your views.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Flax Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, to the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east. near 22 miles per hour or 35 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy and hazy, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. And there is an advisory in the Herbert Streets that small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to above normal seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers and possibly isolated thunderstorms over the southern Windward Islands and areas further south. Elsewhere, fair to partly cloudy and hazy for a few brief showers. The tropical weather outlook, moisture and instability in the wake of a tropical wave will continue to cause cloudiness, showers and possibly isolated thunderstorms over the southern portion. That should be over the southern portion of the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. Two other tropical waves located over the central and eastern tropical Atlantic are moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this has been your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And we also have our WhatsApp as an option. That number is 724-0008. I believe we've got a call coming in at this time, so we're going to head to the phone lines. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom.
Mr. George.
How are you doing, caller?
Not too bad.
Wonderful. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah. But is a word I always use and I'll always use it. The world right now is double standard. Very double standard. Especially America used to help people. The America I know and the America today is two different country. Because in the early 40s, 50s, you see, all India used to have famine, and America will send food and they'll help people.
Right.
But with the America, Donald Trump America is a different America. Now, tell me, you just mentioned water. Water is life. And in Israel, they close all the water. Those people cannot get water to drink. They die. The children dying with famine. And the world stood still, not doing nothing to help. Nothing. So what different? Is America different like that? Nobody even don't open the mouth and talk, allowing the children. And that man from hell they call Benjamin Netanyahu, he said he's going to eradicate when this fight started. What he's doing there? From his own mouth, he said, I'm going to eradicate them. So I would like people tell me what he's doing there. Famine, children, babies.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that should be, even during times of war, you know, you should not engage in deliberate acts that will really, at the end of the day, only lead to wide-scale loss of innocent lives. I mean, at the end of the day, his fight cannot be against every single Palestinian. I mean, if their argument was that they were against Hamas and they wanted to deal with Hamas, but right now it's unfortunate that we're seeing, if actions that can very much only be seen by many people out there as being genocidal types of acts.
It is. That's what's going on there, and that's what he said he would have done, and he's doing it, and the world watching him do it. I shame of even Britain. Open their mouth. Germany, the European country, they're afraid to open their mouth and tell you enough is enough. When it'll be enough? How could people kill people like that? And people watching on television, because the world gets very small with television and everything there right now, and everybody, as if that become killing people, become the norm.
Yeah. It's a very, very unfortunate state of affairs as it continues to unravel, and you're right. I'm not sure that the traditional quote unquote moral leadership that one would expect from certain countries is it's silence, it's acquiescence, way too much, and even when they say that they're saying things, but in terms of the action, in terms of saying, hey, we need to see some kind of limits. It's taking too long on too many fronts, and the extent of suffering that you're seeing is very unfortunate indeed.
Yeah, but
even with the case of the UK right now,
in Kosovo, Reykjavik Beach, the leader, they didn't hesitate. He hid under bed, everywhere he hide, but they go for him, take him to the Hague.
Yeah.
So what they going to do with Benjamin Netanyahu?
And that's the thing. In principle, we're supposed to be so much better off in terms of knowing what the issues are, seeing how it plays out, and we have these institutions, but unfortunately, many of them are just still way too weak and deliberately incapable of making any firm decisions, because one side or the other comes out and vetoes certain actions, and so we've seen too many times these types of conflicts breaking out within the world, and effectively the world seems powerless in dealing with them. I mean, Rwanda wasn't so long ago, right? That was about 30 years ago. The genocide then we see.
They turned the back on the people.
Yeah, well, we saw
people and turned the back on the Rwandans and let what you call Hutu and whatever.
Hutu, yes.
So when people look on the world, they think that is the norm, is to kill. Because that's what's going on there right now. Right now in Russia, what Russia do?
Yeah.
It's kill. Everywhere is kill. And according to blokes like Donald Trump, that's the norm.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. The norm. And well, I don't mind because they said the first kill is the worst kill. But when you kill once and you kill twice and you kill 3 times, it becomes a habit. You see? So America put the nuclear bomb on Nagasaki and
Hiroshima. Yeah.
Come on, numb. So right now, just the other day, they're going to put it on Iran. Whatever they had there, they do everything to flatten Iran. You see? I don't know what.
Well, I guess in the case of Iran, they will say that it's a targeted.
I have something like 29 between my children. I only have 4, but my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. And to see what's going on in Israel, it's breaking my heart. Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Thanks very much for that contribution, Colin. Have a good one. I know it's a very tough situation when we think about the the state of play in terms of the world right now and some of these conflicts which are happening. Some may say that there's always going to be some level of conflict in the world. Some may even argue that we are, in some sense, better off overall. But I don't know. I mean, when you're seeing this rise of actions, these unilateral actions by countries to be able to attack other countries in the way that we're seeing that they're done. I mean, in the case of Israel, we've seen Gaza, we've seen the attacks on Lebanon to some degree, of course, the interest there. Hezbollah interest in Lebanon. We've seen attacks in Iran, of course, and just very recently, even Syria. Even though one thought that the main quote unquote enemy was Assad and his Ba'athist regime, it seems otherwise now, and we saw some recent attacks over in Syria as well. So. Israel will argue that it's trying to protect itself, and sometimes in protecting oneself, one has to take preemptive action. I'm not sure that necessarily is how we in the world view these types of actions. The need for dialogue seems to be out the door, and they are taking action through force. And in all of this, of course, we are seeing the impacts, especially in the case of Gaza, in terms of the loss of life there and the suffering that continues to be panning out. And of course, the continued situation in Ukraine. We heard a president of the United States come and say that he was going to be able to end the war in 3 days. Or a week, was it? And, of course, that has not materialized. And we're seeing how those matters are continue to impact the world and its current state of play in terms of trade and the economic impacts of these things as well. So right here in St. Lucia, we are facing as well the issue of violence. And this is self-induced violence to some degree, although some will also say the fact is that we don't produce weapons, we don't produce the guns, and but we are certainly the ones using it would appear, against ourselves. And this is a very unfortunate situation that has no simple solutions and no quick win solutions either. It is certainly going to be taking it's going to take some time to be able to get to the point where we are going to be safe again. And the extent of the amount of weapons that are present in this country, very, very, very concerning. Illegal weapons coming in. And this is being done, many instances, by St. Lucians who choose to profit on sale of weapons. Illegal sale of weapons. They choose to profit in the arming of individuals and see it as a money-making business. This is what we are faced with. And you hear quite often, well, we didn't have this much, this extent of killing back in the days, in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And so why are we seeing it now? One of the major reasons is the extent of access of illegal firearms. Major problem in this regard. If we didn't have this extent of arms on island, we certainly probably will not be seeing the extent of killings that exist, because it's a far different situation when individuals have to find other means to harm others. Use of hands and knives and whatever. Very different. It's not to say that we're not seeing that, but it's it's a major part of the problem. And of course, the other issues that is underlying a lot of this is the matter of conflict and how to resolve conflict, how to deal with emotions. This idea that you cannot be offended, that you have some greater rights than another human being. Many of these ideas is a part of the problem that we're dealing with, and people choose to abuse, choose to hurt other human beings, and to believe that they have the right to take people's lives and the right to use violence. That is certainly a major part of the problem. And so conflict resolution is a major issue. In South Africa, even after apartheid, one of the major things that had to be done was the matter of reconciliation. And with the extent of what we're seeing in terms of some of these conflicts between gangs and between families and people feuding, there has to be at some point a break from this back and forth tit for tat action that we are continuously seeing, and which flares up every so often. The issue of gangs and belonging is another major one, right? And a lot of young men in particular are not finding a sense of community. They're not finding a sense of belonging. They're not getting wholesome avenues within which they can identify themselves. And they're desperately looking for it. I mean, when you look at the amount of passion that a lot of young people put in terms of their favorite football team, right? How much they might like Messi or Ronaldinho, or whether they're supporting Arsenal or Man U or Chelsea or Barca. And, it shows that they want to be part of something big, want to be part of something great. They're looking for these types of potential role models. But unfortunately, there are these elements that are on the ground providing other far more nefarious opportunities for coming together. And it's a major problem that we're facing. And for young men, how they are socialized, how they are skilled. And that's another major issue that thankfully we're seeing some shifts with respect to the push towards technical vocational education. But that has been one of the areas where we certainly have continued to fail too much. And so, yes, we have done and made some significant strides in terms of education and access to education, and making it accessible to as many as possible, yes. And that's all good. But the other major challenge, of course, is that is what is actually being taught, and what is the young male in particular getting exposure to, and the need to be able to provide a type of education that is exciting, that is attractive, that is intellectually stimulating, and also being able to give them a good sound footing economically is vitally important as well. So there is certainly a lot that we are grappling with, the issues of family and weak family structure. It's still a major problem. It's still a challenge to this day. And these are some of the things that are not so easy to fix. They tend to linger through, because these are not things sometimes that are even taught at the formal levels, right? They are passed on through culture, and it's very difficult to change culture. And culture could be a very positively good thing, but it can also have its negatives when certain negative aspects are built into culture. So we certainly do have to think about that aspect as well, as to how do we change a culture? How do you change people in terms of certain values, attitudes towards violence, attitudes towards conflict and how conflicts can be resolved, attitudes towards what is really masculine, what are people really judging people by, right? And the types of pressures, mental health as well, pressures that are placed on our young people, including, of course, especially our young males. So there's a very long journey ahead. It is certainly going to be more than just the improvement of our policing and security. Very, very important. Very, very important steps. We do want to ensure that we have a world-class Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and we want to ensure that we have a force that is properly equipped, that has sufficient human resources, that has sufficient equipment, technology, and the cutting edge technology. Maybe not so cutting edge, because it's been around for a little while in terms of surveillance, whether it's through cameras or drones or other forms of intelligence gathering. That's important, no doubt about it. But the culture as well, the systems that develop our people also have to be significantly transformed to be able to see the kind of shifts that we would like to see in our country. Let's also hope, of course, that the efforts at trying to disarm individuals is something that we can take on and as well, because our eyes on the ground are equally as important. And I know there are issues of trust and trusting in the channels through which people can provide information and let people know what is going on. But you know what? We quite often, after a situation with respect to violent crime, you will find that people are speaking about, well, oh yes, this was a response to so and so, and they know about this and that, and they can give you a whole, context, which of course you don't often get from the official channels. But you're getting all of these stories and information being shared, and as to whether it's real or not, of course, I don't know. But you clearly have some people who appear to be in the know as to the happenings in that regard. And so it is certainly going to be necessary that information has to be brought forward to the authorities to be able to make breakthroughs in the situation with respect to crime, violent crime here in St. Lucia. Of course, we know no doubt about it. It's a global challenge where we're facing in terms of violence, in terms of guns, but at the same time, we do not want to be labeled. We should not be, unfortunately, like in the Caribbean, as we are, being placed in the most dangerous places to live in the world, right? And far too often, somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere in Central America is going to be on that list of the most dangerous places in the world. Does it affect everybody? In some way, yes. And I know many will say that, look, you can go along your life and chances are you may never, ever be faced with it in terms of personal experience. But we're in a very small society, and that's not a risk. The degrees of separation are not that great. So we certainly do not want to have to hear about these types of situations happening so close in your neighborhood, on your street, in your community. And so certainly it has to be everybody's business with respect to dealing with the matter of crime, dealing with the matter of violence, and ensuring that it starts in terms of what are we doing, what are we teaching in the home? Are we exhibiting violence in the home, actions in the home, in the community? How are we dealing with these matters at those levels before they get to these more outrageous states where individuals are literally picking up guns and going out and taking people's lives? Let's hope we can certainly make a change as we move forward here. That's our program for today, and we do hope that you can join us again tomorrow for another one of the Lunchroom at Radio Caribbean International. Have a great one.